Hello, Sydney here. Welcome back to the Drunken Ork. So it's time for another showcase. What I thought I'd do is I'll show you all of my wagons. My gun wagons, which I have two, my battle wagon and my truck. I've got them all painted in different clans because I don't really follow one particular clan. I'm a bit of an orc soup. Mushroom soup, maybe. Cream of mushroom? No, not cream of mushroom. But yeah, soupy kind of guy. When you see a war going on, or a war, not a wag, please don't pronounce the G, it's always, or it's rarely, should I say, bad moons, or just snake bites, or just goths. It's always a bit of a mix, and that's how I like to say it. I know, obviously, 2,000 points, 3,000 points is not exactly a full war, but there you go. I still like to mix it up. I do mostly death skulls, and bad moons. I like my bad moons for my infantry, death skulls for my vehicles. And I took a few goths in as well, because I like the goths, they're classics, aren't they? Don't really do any snake bites. Or blood axes, really, for that matter. I can see a place for evil sons. I see a place for blood axes as commandos and that, but not just yet. Anyway, it's not about that today, is it? It's about wagons. So I'm going to go through a little showcase, do some close-ups, run you through them, see how it goes. Alright, champion, let's get going. Well, here's the first kit bashed tank I did earlier in 2020. It was an old Chaos Predator from, I don't know what, it was the early stuff, Rogue Trader stuff, the old Rhino chassis. The sponsons on there are lead, so they're quite heavy really, the whole thing. The turret, I was just a scratch built turret with some parts off the battle wagon kit, and the dozer blades at the front were, I think, from the kit. I must be off a Chaos kit, or maybe it's the old Imperial Guard kits, because I had two of them knocking about, and I just stuck one on top of the other to make more of a. It looks like a grabber, but there's no way for it to actually grab. It's got no mechanism on it. But I did stick some struts on the top, just so it looked a little bit more sturdy, and covered them up with Dreadnought toe caps and Space Marine helmet trophies. I'm going to turn it around. There we go. So you can see some very basic Death Skull graffiti here, as well as a pintle mounted big shooter, and because I wanted all four big shooters on, and it's got, I replaced the sponsons with big shooters. I only had three. I couldn't think where to put the fourth one, so in the end I stuck it here as a coaxial shooter to the main gun, which I think is a zapper. But I mean, like I say, I haven't actually used them in a game yet, but I'll probably just use it as a kill cannon or whatnot. But no, it's quite a nifty little tank. I want to run it as a gun wagon because, four big shooters, cannon, sorted. But it's a little bit small when you compare it to the, the footprint of a battle wagon, with it being the old Rhino size, and the old Rhinos are pretty small. Although they can carry up to, is it 10 or 12 Space Marines? So that's quite a lot. I have no idea how they fit in. But there you go. That's it from the front. I did like the commander with the binoculars, but I stuck a cromlech head in it. I'm going to see if I can get some close-up pictures, like still. So yeah, the head I used on the commander out the top was I think I got from, oh dear, it was cromlech or spellcrow, and it was a little Russian one. An orc head with a Russian hat on. I can't remember what you call those hats. I want to say Ushanka, but I don't know if that's right. So sort of, the furry hat, mini Busbies. But when I quite liked the head. I stuck it on him, and then I put the binoculars on him, and he just covers up his entire face. And I might as well use the half-sucked Tic Tac, lime one, safe painting, and you wouldn't have known any different. That's the commander there. And what else we got? Yeah, just as a shot there of the turret, a bit more close up. Oh, the imposing last view, and the infantryman would see with this thing clanking along, just about to run him over. Or maybe it's the bars that just push him out of the way. I don't know. Noise. Right, so let's see what we've got next. Get rid of this one. Well, there we have the obligatory Lehman Russ. Any Ork player worth his salt's gonna Orkify up a Lehman Russ, I think. You can't really go wrong with it. This one I've replaced a lot of last cannons with big shooters, which have impacted on its. Well, it's impacted on now. Really, you can't have last cannons on an Orky vehicle, so bollocks. But yeah, big shooter on the front, big shooter on the sponsor. There's no one around the other side. I'll show you in a second. That's the upgraded cannon from the Battle Wagon upgrade kit. I don't know if that would count as, was it the boomer or something. It's got a periscope on it. I meant to mention the last one. The commander out the hatch of the binoculars counts as periscope. So with the gun wagon rule, it can fire twice if moving under half movement. And again, I would run it as a gun wagon. It's not quite as big as a battle wagon. I'll see if I can get a size comparison shot with all three of them when I can. But it's got a commander out the top as well. And a little driver, so you need a little Orky head out so you can see what's going on. And the hedge cutter is just the plate off the front of the battle wagon. Taken off, little divot cut in to go around the shooter, and obviously turned upside down. There's some nice Orky graffiti. Well, I think it's nice. Orky graffiti on it, which I'll get a close-up shot for you. There we go, that's some Orky graffiti. That is Ork glyphs for Dakar Wagon. The explosion being Dakar, and the little, well, it could be anything, but it's a wagon. It's a wagon. So yeah, it means Dakar Wagon. And a little grot rigger scampering around on top as well, just keeping things in working order. The commander, as you can see, has the big shooter, but he's also weighing in with a slugger. Because quite frankly, why not? You can't have too much Dakar, as we all know. There's another little Orky glyph for the death skulls. Painted on the side there. And there's just a view of it from the back. So a couple of Orky custom exhausts on there, and just a few other sort of, you know, the little glyph plates and what have you just stuck around it. Just to break it up a bit. And there's a view of it head on. I find when I'm painting all these things, what I generally try to do is I just paint them black. Just completely just prime them black, and then I'll mix up a rusty looking metallic. Basically a bit of brown and a bit of silver. And just dry brush the whole thing. So it looks like that, and then just try and pick out the panels, most of the panels in whatever colour I'm going to do it, just essentially stippling it on. Stipple away, leave the edges, and yeah, I think it looks alright, looks pretty good. It'll do me. You probably notice on this one, maybe more than the other, although not from that scale. If I go back to a side view, there we go, so we'll go on to side view, you can see here, on top of the sponsons, that's obviously just a plate with some rivets put on. Rivets on the plate here. If I turn it slightly. Rivets here. Any rivets which I've actually added myself. That's what I generally use. If you can see them, they're basically, I think they're well, 1.5mm domes for nail art. I think I got about 2,000 for, must have been much more than a few quid. I got the pink ones because I figured if I drop them, when I drop them, they'll stand out more and I can find them. Because I know that, you know, a few thousand, and I'm tight, but if I'm going to drop them, I want to pick them up if possible. Anyway, I just use them, and you just get like a cocktail stick, gently press it, it'll lift up on the stick, put it where you want. We've dabbed a little bit of just poly cement, you know, the thin stuff, and yeah, works fine. It's not quite as as small as some of the other rivet. I mean, obviously you see the rivets on the battle wagon turret, which, you know, are already cast on there. Compared to those, they're a lot bigger than those. I mean, they must be only maybe 3/4 of a mil. But no, that'll do me. I've got a doff me cap to Rivets and Dagger, who sits and punches out each of you. You wouldn't expect anything less for rivets, would you? But bolts and nuts and all sorts, and it looks fantastic. I might get one of those at some point, to be honest with you. I do really like them, but I just haven't got one at the minute. So that's my Death Skull, or one of my second. Let's move back there. Death Skull gun wagon. Now I'll show you the battle wagon now to compare sizes. Well, there's my battle wagon. It's red because they go faster. Yes, not much more you can say about that, really. One thing I do, it has got a few Evil Sons transfers on it. There's a little one there. Ooh, although it is black, there's a red Evil Sun there. But yeah, it's got the Death Roller on it. I'll probably run it as a boon breaker. The turret, you may have noticed, is quite a little fat one. It does come off. Should I want to run it without the big gun? And likewise, that's not stuck on either. If I want to run it open top, so like the idea of a bone breaker crashing into combat and disgorging a load of troops. Yeah, why not? But it's got that's got a plate on it, which is lead or metal, and that turret's all metal, and it's only fallen off once due to improper care and attention. So that's pretty good. Just tip this up so you can have a squeeze inside. A couple of gunners there. Now I have glued them in. The guns aren't glued in position, so they can. So yeah, there's a little bit of checkers on it, a bit of dag work, a couple of hand painted glyphs. I mean, I'm not going to say, yeah, I deliberately do them that sloppy because that's the Orky way. No, I probably could do them neater, but they don't need to be. I think it takes away from it if it was totally perfect. That's why I'm not 100%, keen on the transfers. They look too crisp. So with these ones, I've tried to scrape them up, scratch bits off, scupper them a little bit. Again, prime black, dry brush to dirty brown silver, then stippled on the red, then just went at it with washes and grime and silver dry brushings just to bring out the edges where the paint's chipped away. The usual stuff, sterling mud clotting up all the tracks and what have you. There we go, zoom in a bit. So you can see with the tracks, lots of sterling mud there. We're trying to apply it where it would build up in front of the wheels before it got scraped off when it hits the tracks. Flicking up from here onto the underside, a bit more mucky there. The usual old weathering stuff. If I give us a spin round, there you go. That side, pretty much the same. Now I just wrote Zog off on the door. That took us back to the 90s a bit, writing that. I don't normally write stuff with orcs because I don't believe they use writing. It's all glyphs and what have you. I might be wrong. Let us know if I am. But I just thought, I'll be honest with you, I'd had a few drinks and it was quite late on, and I just never got around to painting over it, so we'll just leave that. One thing I did as well, I don't know why, the turret, like I say, is led off the Chaos Predator kit. Little skulls. Now I don't know if they're part of it or if I've stuck them on. There's one on the other side as well. For some reason I've painted them green. Again, it was a late night decision. They're pretty definitely human skulls. So they are painted green. As in, the orc has painted that green. It was me who'd done it, obviously. But, do you know what I mean? In the same way that the orcs wrote Zog off on the side, they painted the skulls green. I don't know why. Not a great decision, but there you go. I'm going to get a few other shots, just close-ups. There we go, so that's the front. The Death Roller, again, just picking out the red bits. The rest of it's just rusty metal. It's just the standard Death Roller on the upgrade sprue. But I like it. I think it's nice. I tell you what, if you need to squeeze it, it's a pain, because them little spikes are kind of sharp, but there's no real need to squeeze it, so you know that generally isn't a worry. And there's the commander. Now I've done him, you know, the meme, drive me closer so I can hit him with my sword, with the Commissar and the Lehman Russ. It's basically the Ork version of that. The Ork himself, I think the Ork body's from the Battle Wagon kit. Possibly the lifter dropper operator. He's right hand with the chopper, certainly from the lifter dropper, because that's foreguard is the handle of the lifter dropper lever. But I just stuck the chopper blade on the end and then trimmed it down to look more like a machete. The left hand's just it was again from the Battle Wagon and one of the pointy hands, but I did actually dropped it on the finger, and the finger pinged off and I couldn't find it, so I had to cut a bit of sprue to glue it back on for another pointer and paint a fingernail on it, because I was desperate to have a pointer. And the head is a Spellcrow head, which are filed flat and cut the Commissar cap off a late 1980s lead Commissar. It's probably worth about 15 quid, but I just cut his cap off because I wanted a cap. Didn't really think about that. Again, this whole thing was pretty much a late night decision, if you know what I mean. A lot of this was done sort of like heading towards the witching hour with half a bottle plus a rum or whiskey in it. So yeah, who knows how many plastic caps I could have bought if I'd just sold that Commissar on eBay or some shit like that, but I didn't. So there's no use crying over lobotomised Commissars, is there? One thing I do try to do with all my non-Death Skull vehicles is paint on them at some point, or some place should I say, a little, or sometimes quite large, blue handprint. So you see on the Evil Sun's Battle Wagon there, and the right at the back, just below the lad on the big shooter, you'll see a blue handprint. Probably doesn't come out very well on the camera, like, but it's a blue handprint which is just surreptitiously slapped on the side. I've got one on pretty much all the vehicles I've got that I've painted so far, which aren't Death Skull vehicles, because as you know from the law, Death Skulls would walk around an Ork camp and just slap a blue handprint on anything they fancy the look of. It's just marking them for their grots or whoever to go and nick it at a later date. It's basically saying this is ours now. Although only two other Death Skulls. Obviously, you know, the original Evil Sun's owners would not take very kindly to that. But by the time they find it, there's a big blue Battle Wagon still dripping wet. You know, it's not their problem anymore. But yeah, so I do try to paint that little blue handprint on most of my non-Death Skull vehicles, just as a little bit of fun. It's all a bit of fun, isn't it? That's what we're in this for. There we go. I've pulled the camera back a bit so you can see a little bit extra. You shouldn't be able to see with me lovely backdrop from Prophecy of the Wolf. But that's the Battle Wagon compared to the first gun wagon. So you can see it's quite a bit shorter. Yeah, so the Battle Wagon, I'll slide my ruler in here, is, including the death roller, that's almost 8 inches. Without the death roller, it's a good 6. It's a good 6 inches there. That's important. Whereas the gun wagon there is 5, and if we don't include the ram, which is only fair, it's not much over 4, to be honest. I'll probably just knock it from the angle there, but if I pull that there, you can see it's exactly 4. So yeah, it's not quite. There we go. Lehman Russ does look a little bit bigger, which is nice. Pop the ruler back in. Talking maybe 4.5, 4 3/4 without the ram. With the ram, stick about an inch on it. So it's better, it's closer, but it's still not great. When I first put I put these up on probably Instagram or something when I first done them several months ago now, and oh no, I tell you what, it was on Reddit, and somebody said that they wouldn't allow me to use them against them because the footprint was too small, and they hated something being used when it wasn't the right size, which, you know, I can sort of understand that. I'd never use them in a competitive thing. I'd never do a competitive thing, I'm not lost. At this rate, I haven't even done a friendly game yet. But as long as, you know, the opponent's happy with them, what's the problem? I did think about adding a little sort of trailer on the back of each of them just to sort of bump the size up a bit, but I don't know. Is that necessary? I don't think it is, but, you know, tell us if you think differently. So, that is the heavy vehicles, the battle wagons, gun wagons, etc. I do have a truck, so let's get that up. There you go. It's a truck. It's the truck kit. If anything, it's stripped down a bit. I didn't put the armour on the front. I'm reaching for my screwdriver to point out where the front is. I mean, you're Ork players, you're familiar with the kit. Even if you weren't, you could probably take an educated guess. That's the front. And it's a bit better there. So it's more. I like the look of it without the armour, and plus I thought I'll use the armour for something else. I'm a I'm a big believer in putting the Ork kits together, pretty much as is for the first one anyway, and trying to leave out as many parts as I can to keep it, you know, still in the spirit of what it is and looking like what it is and looking good, obviously. But if I can leave a bit off, like a great slab of armour off the front, and it looks good, and I can use that big slab of armour off the front on something else, hey, happy days. More power to the bit box. So that's what I've done with that. There was a couple of bits I couldn't actually fit in, especially the driver. I mean, in between the driver and the windscreen, there was this little console piece, and I couldn't get the steering wheel to fit into it. I couldn't get that on and the driver, so in the end I took it off. I think I've stuck it on a mech gun or something. But yep, so save the armour plate off the front. I'll rotate it a bit. There we go, and you can see I've also saved the wrecking ball. I still put the winding mechanism on, although I just stuck a little bit of chain there because the wrecking ball snapped. Oh, he's lost it. Oh, it's hard to give him that. But yeah, so that's off, and also with the boarding ramps, I didn't put them on. I don't know. I just didn't. Thought I'd keep them for somewhere else, but I used one on the back. I'll come to in a second, and I just stuck some plastic rods with some wrapping on, just to match up with the ones on the other bars, just to stop the lads from falling out. There's a boarding ramp on the back with a bit of chain tying it to the crossbar, just wrapped around a bit. It was pulled quite taut, that, but it looks a bit saggy now. This will not end well. That's what it was like. That's what it's like now. It was like that when it was young and fresh. Now it sags and droops. But, you know, that happens, doesn't it? And on this side, again, another bar and a little shooter in the back, just propped up there, just because it looked a bit empty. And with those bars on, you can't really fit a lot of, well, you can fit generally one model in the back, can't you? If you actually want to physically put a model in. So yeah, and obviously lots of clots on the wheels and what have you. There's nothing really to show you here, which is, you know, special or out of the ordinary. The only thing I've done really was with the gunner. His left hand was sort of the one you get with the kit is reaching across and cupping the back of the shooter in a, you know, the way you'd expect to fire a Jimmy or some sort of heavy machine gun, you know, sort of to control it generally into the shoulder or something. But The only problem with that hand was it sort of covered his entire face. And I thought he had quite a nice face, a lot of teeth. I didn't want a hand just covering it, because I was still, feeling a little bit bitter after the old binocular gogs covering up the old Rusky Ork's dish. So I put a different arm on, and because I'm a big fan of the, drive them closer so I can hit them with my sword type meme, I just give him a chopper. Slightly mod the arm so he's just waving it in the air, but if he gets close enough, and by close enough I'm probably going to involve a crash, either the engine block taking off his legs as it shears through, or possibly him being catapulted forward, but then he'll be close enough to hit them with his chopper. So that was nice. That was my Wagon Showcase. Hope you enjoyed it. I've got another showcase coming up. A couple of bigger things I haven't filmed yet, but I'm going to do that soon, because I feel like I'm on a bit of a roll at the minute, because that one went quite smoothly. The last few video attempts have been beset by technical gremlins, and I even deleted quite a few hours worth of footage last weekend in a little fit of rage, temper tantrum. Not very appropriate for somebody of my age, but yeah, the sound was wrong on that again, and I just couldn't be arsed. So this one, though, yeah, nice and smooth, very pleased. If you did enjoy it, then hit like, hit subscribe, give the bell a little tickle, make sure you don't miss any further content, and hopefully I'll see you soon. Take care now. Bye bye.